Hello everybody. So in this video we're going to talk about the area models of probability. Now an area model is a visual representation of probabilities involving two events. Okay, this does not work for probabilities involving more than two events, as we'll see just in a second with the two examples we're about to do. All right, so how does this work? Well, we'll show with the way of examples here, okay? So let's take a look at this first one. So we have a red and a green die that are rolled, and we'd like to determine the probability of getting a 3 on the red die and a 6 on the green die using an area model. Okay, so to start, uh, finding probabilities using an area model, we'll start by drawing a rectangle or a square. Okay, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to draw a square here. All right, I'm going to pick a side for the red die. So let me say this side is for the red die. And then I'm going to pick the other side for the green die. All right. Now, once I choose the sides, now I'm going to divide each side based on the number of outcomes. Okay, so for red die, there are 6 possible outcomes. So I'm going to divide this side into 6 parts. So, and then I'm just going to draw these lines here. So each half I'm going to have to divide into 3 parts. So like that. And then do the same thing here. All right, so those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts for the red die. And likewise, there are 6 different outcomes for the green die. So I'm going to divide this side into 6 equal parts as well. Like that. Now we are interested in getting 3 on the red die. Now think about the probability of getting a 3 on the red die. There's 1 in 610. So I'm going to pick 1 out of 6 different parts that I made for the red die. And then I'm going to color this entire column. Let me color that with a red color. So the area of this tall rectangle represents the probability that I get a 3 on the red die. Likewise, I'm interested in getting a 6 on the green die. So I'm gonna color the side for the green die with the probability that I get a 6 on the green die. And also 1 in 610. So I'm gonna say this long rectangle. Notice that the width is 1 out of 6. So the area of this long rectangle represents the probability of getting a 6 on the green die. Okay, so let me record the information that we used so far. So probability of getting 3 on red was 1/6, and then probability of getting a 6 on green was also 1/6. Now, the question is asking us to find the probability of getting 3 on the red die and 6 on the green die. So I'm looking into this area model where the two shading that I did intersect. And this is the area where the two colors intersect. So this area gives the probability that I get 3 on red and 6 on green. Okay, So that's going to be equal to, now to find the probability, I just count the number of boxes that's common. So it's just 1, and it's going to be out of the total number of little squares in here. And then if you count them all, there are 36 of them. So that's the probability that you get 3 on the red and 6 on the green. And we did this using the area model. Let me do one more example. So here we have 2 people, John and Jesse. John has 2 in 5 tens to score a goal, and Jesse has 4 in 7 tens. So these are the 2 events that this problem is talking about. And then we want to determine the probability that both John and Jesse will score a goal. Okay, so just like before, we're going to start by drawing a square or a rectangle, so it doesn't really matter. And I pick one side for John, so let me pick this side for John and this side for Jesse. All right, so now for John, well, he has 2 in 5 tens, so out of 5 possible number of outcomes, he's gonna score a goal 2 of those 5 possible outcomes. So I'm gonna divide this into 5 parts for John. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. For Jesse, it's got 4 in 7 tens, so I'm gonna have to divide this into 7 different parts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. All right. So the now question tells us that probability that John scores is 2 in 5, so it's in fraction is 2/5. And then the probability that Jesse scores is 4 in 7, so I'm going to write that down here. And then now, because there's 2 in 5 chance that John scores, I'm going to select 2 out of 5 different boxes and shade the whole rectangle. I'm going to pick a red color, so I'm shading all of these rectangles. Again, the area of these rectangles, the big one, represents the probability that John scores the goal. Likewise, there's 4 in 7 tens that Jesse scores the goal. So now I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to shade all this all the way to the other side. Okay, so all of this part. So area of this rectangle that I've shaded green now represents the probability that Jesse scores. Okay, now to find the probability that both of them score, I'm going to have to take a look at the common area. So this part right here, where both colors are present, that is going to give us the probability that both John and Jesse will score. So probability that John and Jesse will score is going to be equal to, now I count how many boxes here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 out of, and there are 28 boxes you can count here in total. So it's 8 out of 28. I hope you found this video helpful. Until next time, this is it for today.